There's no warning. It's not like, with an earthquake, there's like a little Geiger counter that, something's coming, here it comes. It's like, boom, it happens. There's really no warning. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Welcome to the Heartland Multifamily Show, the shorter, more profitable path to multifamily ownership and investing. Hey everybody, this is Darren, and welcome to the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place for all things multifamily. And as you can see, I am solo on this episode. We're getting close. I can't wait. We are so close in terms of who we're bringing on board, the conversations we're having with people that are coming on board, where we're going, what we're doing, especially, not only here within the company, the confines of the company with what we're doing, but with the team and where we're going with the, with our property. So it's really, really cool. But everything, all good things take time. And if you're my age or around my age, you would have finished that sentence at least in your head. If you're a little bit younger, you would have been wondering where I was going with that, but that's where I'm going with that. On this episode, I want to talk about something that I'm hearing a lot about here in the early parts of 2025. And it has to do with something we all deal with, not only multifamily owners, investors, managers, investors in general, really people in general. And it really is one word, and it's the S word. It's the S word. And that S word is stress. Stress. Now, before I go any further, I am not an MD, for example, psychiatry. So I'm not, a psychiatrist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a social worker. I married a social worker, by the way, but I'm not a social worker. And nor am I taking any courses or classes on counseling or management or anything like that. So before I go there, just letting you know what I'm telling you comes from the real world experience of being on the front lines of the multifamily real estate business now for over 3 decades and dealing with all of the things that you deal with. And so there it is. So the word I'm talking about is stress. Stress. And this word comes up a lot, especially this time of year. Really over the holidays, you really hear a lot about it. Had conversations with a couple of people regarding some stress things around Christmas and New Year's. And it's come up again here recently. We've had one of our that's close to us have some stressful things going on. And so stress comes up a lot, especially this time of year. I'm going to give you a secret of, I'm not going to use the word managing it. That's not accurate. I'm not going to use the word dealing with it. That's not accurate either. But I want to give you a real world view that if you lock this in, it will literally change the way you think about stress. I promise it will. I discovered this by accident. And so this isn't something I came up with. It was advice given to me by actually 2 mentors of mine at different times about stress. And so I'm asking these guys, this was years ago. I'll go back and I'll tell you a quick story. So this would have been 30 years ago or so. I'm driving the minivan. I'm driving a minivan. I've got Gina sitting next to me, and I've got my only and oldest daughter, and my oldest now and only daughter at the time, Madison. She's in her car seat, in a seat behind us. I don't even know where we're going. We're going somewhere. And I started feeling kind of weird, like, there's something going on here. I wonder what's going on. And I'm driving. And by the way, there's nothing going on. There's not like any stress going on. I'm just driving. Everything's fine. There's no road rage thing or bad weather, nothing like that. So I'm driving. I get this like feeling like my heart's like starting to race, right? Well, what the heck's going on? And, within 30 seconds, my heart is racing 100 plus miles an hour. I can't breathe. I think I'm having a freaking heart attack. And I'm in my 30s. And I'm thinking, holy shit, I can't breathe. I pull over, and I think I'm having a heart attack. And so I tell Gina, I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. I can't breathe. My chest is just tight. Can't catch my breath. My heart is racing 100 miles an hour. And I mean, I had 200 beats a minute is what it felt like. So pull over, and she gets out, and we beeline it to the emergency room. Call the emergency room ahead of time, and we're on our way. Pull in. Of course, they're out there waiting for me. Go in the emergency room, and I think I'm having a heart attack. They're doing all the checks, doing all the testing to see what's going on. And I'll get to the punchline of what really happened. The good news is I didn't have a heart attack, thank God. What I did have was a panic attack. And if you've ever had one, it kind of feels like, not that I know what a heart attack really feels like, but I bet it feels a lot like that. So I had a panic attack. And, talking with the doctor about it afterwards, and he was telling me how I need to manage my stress. By the way, great doctor, love the guy, but he's telling me how to manage my stress. And he told me the same things you would typically think. Meditation, stay away from, caffeine, change your diet a little bit, meditation, breathing exercises. If you get in a stressful, deep breaths and, that kind of stuff, which kind of helped a little bit. But after that, I had two more. Not as bad as the first, but I had two more. And the thing about panic attacks, at least my experience, is they come out of nowhere. There's no warning. It's not like, with an earthquake, there's like a little Geiger counter that, something's coming, here it comes. It's like, boom, it happens. There's really no warning. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. So it happened a couple more times. And I thought, I got to change. I got to change some things. So of course, after the first one, I started changing some things, diet, exercise. This is when I really first started getting into running seriously. So I changed things big time. Changed my diet. No more Diet Coke. Used to drink a ton of those a day. That's gone. No more bad food. And I was eating really bad food. If you know what those cappuccino things are at the convenience store, the powder, I'd have a big one of those, and I'd walk out with a box of Dots. If you don't know what Dots or Juji fruits are, it's the gel candy. They're like gummy bears, but even worse. Cappuccino Dots. I'd walk on that was like my diet. Not smart. So I changed my diet totally, and I started getting seriously into running. And big change. So within a couple of years, I'm running 5Ks, 10Ks, maybe getting into half marathons. Ultimately, I ran a couple marathons and, over the years and all that. So some big changes. Saw it in my body too. Everything changed. Physically, especially. But what didn't change was my attitude towards stress. Those stressful moments. And being in the real estate business, not only sales, but ownership, brokerage, and all those, you deal with your fair amount of stress every day. There are more stressful careers or businesses you can own, obviously, but this is a stressful area to be in. And so I'm still having trouble with the stress. I'm better physically. I'm taking it on because of my physical condition and my mental, meditating and doing some of those things. I'm taking it on a hell of a lot better because I'm more like fortified and armored to do it. But I'm still having the same issues thinking about it in terms of how I'm actually processing it. Until I had one of my mentors say to me, I'm talking to him about this, like I'm talking to you. Things are good physically, relationship, everything's going fine. But man, I'm just, I'm laying awake at night. I'm up at 3 a.m. I'm thinking about stuff. I'm stressed out. I can't get to sleep and all that. So his question to me was very revealing. It was a simple question. And his question was, well, how are you interpreting the stress? And I'm like, what do you mean? How am I interpreting it? Well, when something stressful happens, are you fighting it? Not wanting anything to do with it? Wishing you weren't involved in it? Or are you taking it on as a necessary part and necessary process you need to experience in order for you to go from where you are to where you want to be? What? He says, think about it. Think about, he said, go back like 2 or 3 years from now, 2 or 3 years ago. Think of some of the most stressful situations that you were involved in. And think about the growth that took place in you as a result of, at the time, really stressful. But now, with the experience and knowing what you know now, look at how far you've come since that time, since that happened to you. And, I started thinking of situations, especially business, because it's the easiest place for the mind to go. Business-wise, in terms of, that was like one of the most stressful things I went through with that property. But now, knowing what I know now and gone through it, I'm a lot better. And I can actually handle it now a lot better. And maybe this makes some sense. So I thought about this in terms of how I interpret the stress as it hits me and what I do with it and how I deal with it versus the attitude of not wanting to deal with it. And actually, in a way, looking forward to dealing with it. Expecting that the more of it comes, actually the better off I will be later as a result of that. Sounds kind of weird. Sounds very counterintuitive, because what we want to do in our society, especially today, is we don't want to deal with it. We want to come up with all kinds of ways not to deal with it, to run from it, to hide from it, whether that is therapy, whether that's drugs, whether that's any of that kind of stuff. We want to come up with all these different ways to deal with it, not own it. And by the way, I'm not criticizing some of those things and saying that's wrong. Everybody's got their thing. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, you see the mind shift here? And this isn't just some kind of reframe. This isn't just some kind of reframe. In a way it is. But I got to tell you what happened when I started doing that. Thinking that way, I then started to look forward to every single day, no matter what was going to happen that day. And you've been there. There's a day coming up where it's like, oh God, I don't want to deal with that. It's like today when I'm recording this, it's Thursday, so it's like, oh God, Saturday, this is going down. I don't want it. We got to have that conversation. I got to have that tough conversation with the guy. I got to have this kind of, I don't really want to deal with it. And we've all been there. This instantly changes that mindset. And are you in a place of, oh my God, I can't wait to be stressed out? No, of course not. But now you have a much better tool in your toolbox to use, not only in terms of how you're going to feel about it physically, mentally, but what you're going to get from it other than more stress. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? It's not. It's not. So I started to adopt this like philosophy. And it's amazing what it does in terms of how we decide we're going to take in whatever stressful moment that we have and how we're going to use it. And use it as growth and as experience versus avoiding it at all costs. A big change and a big shift. Even though it doesn't sound like much, it's a lot. And I promise you, as a man with 3 grown kids, all successful, a successful marriage, a successful business, there were degrees and times in all of that where the stress was unbelievable. And it hasn't gone away, because the more things continue to roll down the road, the more stress you're going to run into. And as someone that's been there and done that, and I got a long way to go, I can tell you the difference between panic attack guy where I was to the guy I am now, and I still got a lot of growth to go, has a lot to do with this shift. A lot. So, as you think about yourself mentally, physically, and how stress is dealt with you, think about what I just mentioned. And does it make sense for you to reframe and change how you think about stress in terms of dealing with it, avoiding it, putting up with it, running from it, or at the end of the day, welcoming it and using it to become a much, much better version of the person that you are? One last thing I'll mention to you about this. Another one of my mentors, I said I had 2 mentors that gave me this advice, and this isn't anything I made up. I stole it from them. Thank you very much, by the way. Another one told me that, whether you believe in God or divinity or a higher power, whatever, God does not always put things that you like to do in front of you on your path to help you become the kind of person you can become. God will put things necessary for you to do, to deal with, to be a part of you, to be the best version of the person that you can become. And not all of it is going to be things that you think you want or you need. It will be the thing you think, the thing that God knows that you want, that you actually need. That's powerful. Very powerful. Okay, so I'm glad you joined me on this stress episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place for all things multifamily and evidently stress. All right, we'll see you. Take care. Bye-bye.